Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my official YouTube channel. I'm your host, Kamran, and you are watching my official YouTube channel. Dear students, for the last couple of days, we have been working on different topics. I have posted, you can say, videos on gerund, participle, infinitive, active passive, and stuff like that. So today's topic is very interesting, and I'm sure that you will get a lot of things from this topic. So let me tell you what the topic is, and then I'll give you some sort of briefing, and then we are gonna make a very beautiful spiral diagram. And I advise you guys that if you're watching my, you can say, video for verbs, so I advise you to try to make draw the same spiral diagram at home while watching my video. So you will learn a lot from this one. Before starting, let me tell you that when I was a kid, so since my childhood, I have been listening from my teachers, and I have been learning the stuff that verbs are action words. So this is what I got in my mind. Verbs are action words. So, but when we grow up and I started teaching and I started researching about verbs, so I come to know that verbs are not only action verbs, they can be straight, they can be position as well. So if you really want to get the right definition of the verb, so you can say that verb is a word which shows action, possession, and straight. So all these three things are involved in the definition of a verb. So when you make the spiral diagram, so you will come to know that how we can cover all these three aspects of verb. So I'm sure that you guys are ready, so let's get going. So please try to write in the middle of the page our main topic, that is verbs. Just try to write the main topic in the middle of the page. Now the first type of verb, let me tell you the first type of verb. The first type of verbs are what we learned in our childhood as well. They are the action verbs. So they are the action verbs. Why they are called as action verbs? Because they show a sort of action. For example, there are a lot of action verbs like go, play, eat, drink, smile, sleep. So my dear students, you can see that all these verbs, they show action. That's why they are called as action verbs. So after action verbs, there is another important category of verbs that is called as regular verbs. This category is called as regular verbs. So if you want to learn about regular verbs, so you should know about another type. That type is called as irregular verbs. So they are opposite, regular verbs and irregular verbs. So if you want to learn about regular verbs and irregular verbs, let me tell you that what is the difference between these two verbs. My dear students, all those verbs which can form or we can make their past and past participle by using ed at the end of the verb, they are called as regular verbs. For example, we can say play, past form played, and past participle played once again. Similarly, work, past form worked, and past participle worked. Same, we can say that walk, then we have walked, and then we have walked. So my dear students, you can see that the regular verbs, they can form their past form and past participle by using ed at the end of the verb. So this is all about regular verbs. Then what are irregular verbs? So all those verbs which can form their past form and past participle form by different spellings, or you can see a change in the vowel, they are called as irregular verbs. For example, go, went, gone. You can see they have different spellings. Similarly, we can see eat, ate, and eaten. Similarly, we can say see, saw, and seen. So, my dear student, the basic difference between regular verbs and irregular verbs is that regular verbs form their past and past participle by using ed at the end of the verb, while irregular verbs they can form their past and past participle in short we can say that their past and past participles are different. So we can see go, went, gone, see, saw, seen, eat, ate, eaten. Okay, so still we are working on action verbs, regular verbs, irregular verbs. Now we are moving towards another category of verbs that are that is transitive verb. You must have known about transitive verbs. So my dear students, what are transitive verbs then? What are transitive verbs? As I taught you as I taught you about regular and irregular verbs, similarly you can better understand transitive verbs if we compare them with another category of verbs that are intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs. Okay, now you can see that transitive verbs are those verbs which transfer their action or which needs an object in short. So the sentence structure for transitive verbs will be like that: subject plus verb plus object. So we need object for transitive verb. For example, if we say he kicked. So this is a verb. So the action should be transferred to an object. So he kicked the ball. Okay, my dear student. Similarly, please raise. What should be raised? What should be raised? Please raise the curtains. So my dear students, so transitive verbs are those verbs which need an object or the receiver of the action. So this is all about transitive verbs. While intransitive verbs, for them the sentence structure will be subject plus verb. They don't need any object. So we can say he died. That's it. So there is no receiver of the action. There is no object required in transitive verbs. Similarly, she smiled. That's it. We don't need any sort of object in transitive verbs. So this is the basic difference between transitive verb and intransitive verb. Still, there are a lot of types of verbs. So let's move towards another important type of verb. That is that is auxiliaries. Auxiliaries. So I'm sure that for most of you this word will be a new word, auxiliaries. What do we mean by auxiliaries? In simple word, we can say that auxiliaries are basically the helping verbs. Auxiliaries are the helping verbs. Now my dear students, here I would like to tell you that these auxiliaries, once again, they are of two types, two important types. What are the two important types of auxiliaries? Number one, we can say that primary auxiliaries, and the second category would be modals. The second category of helping verb or auxiliaries will be modals. Now, what is the difference between these two? First of all, let me give you the example of primary auxiliaries. Is, are, am, was, were, has, have, had. So my dear students, these are the primary auxiliaries. When we are talking about models, so we have can, could, may, might, should, and so on. Now, my dear student, first of all, what is the basic difference between primary auxiliaries and modals? Let me tell you these things so that the idea of helping verb should be clear. Primary auxiliaries, they have nothing to do. They don't show anything except the tense. They don't show anything except the tense. For example, I can say that he he was he was cooking. For example, he was cooking. If I say he was cooking or he is cooking, so this will only show the past tense. That's it. This is the only role for this auxiliary in this one. But models have something else to do. They have to show more than that. They not only show the tense, but also they also show, you can say, the possibility, the ability, and so on. For example, the same sentence, if I try to write the same sentence by using model, so we can say that he can cook. Know the difference between these two sentences. You can see that both are the auxiliaries, but here only the tense is over here, but here the possibility is also along with just helping the main verb, cook. So, my dear students, so far we have discussed about action verbs, we have discussed about regular verbs, irregular verbs, transitive verbs, intransitive verbs, auxiliaries, primary auxiliaries, modals, and so on. Still, there is one more category of verbs. I would like to talk about that as well. What are those verbs? Very important category. So we must discuss it. So you can see our beautiful spiral diagram. So we'll discuss about those verbs over here. They are very important. So my dear student, they are the linking verbs. So they are the linking verbs. What are the linking verbs? Linking verbs are like your primary auxiliaries. Is, are, am, was, were. They are like your primary auxiliaries. Is, are, or was, were, etc. But their function is different from the primary auxiliaries, because auxiliaries function is to help the main verb, but linking verbs have no such responsibility. They are not supposed to help the main verb. Then what's their function? They just link your subject with the complement or other part of the sentence. For example, we can say he is he is intelligent. Is intelligent. So here is actually, so my dear student, the main thing is that we have to understand the difference between linking verb and primary verbs, because they are the same in structure. Is, are, am, was, were. Is, are, was, were. But the difference, as I told you, that here the primary verbs or primary auxiliaries, they are helping the main auxiliary, main verb. But here there is no main verb. Linking verbs are the main verb, and their function is to link your pronoun, your noun with object, or not object, we can't say object, to other part of the sentence. Similarly, some of the action verbs, they are also linking verbs. No, here you will see how action verbs can be linking verbs. Let me tell you. For example, feels or feel is an action verb. If I say that the food feels, not feel, we can use another word. For example, seem. So we can say the food seem seems stale. So here the food seems stale, so here it is not used as an action verb. So how can we know that the action verb is not used as an action verb? So we can replace it with auxiliary verbs. If the sense of the sentence or the message is not changed, it means that it was a linking verb. For example, the food seems stale or we can say the food is stale. Both have the same meaning, so it means here seems was used as a helping verb. Okay, seem is used as a linking verb. So it is a bit complicated, you can say, concept about linking verbs. But as I told you that the difference between linking verb and the primary auxiliary is that primary auxiliaries are in the sentence to help the main verb, but linking verb have to link your subject with other part of a sentence. So my dear students, you can see that we have almost finished our spiral diagram. So let me give a quick review. So verbs are of different types. Number one, we have action verbs, then regular verbs, irregular verbs, then we have transitive verbs, then intransitive verbs, then auxiliaries. Auxiliaries are of two types: primary auxiliaries, and we have modals, and then we have a concept of linking verb as well. One and the last one, which I would like to finish over here. We discussed it in detail in another video, and that one is non-finite verbs. If you remember, we discussed the non-finite verb in another video with you, non-finite verbs. Okay, let me remind you what are the non-finite verbs. Do you remember I discussed about a topic that was verbals, and this is what I told you, that the non-finite verbs are actually the verbals. So we have got three types of verbals. Number one, we have gerunds, then we have participles, then we have participles, and then the last one we have infinitives. Then we have infinitives. So my dear students, so we have finished, we have discussed nearly all the different types of verbs. Still there is one more type of verb, strong verb and weak verb, because they have not, these sort of verbs have nothing to do in sentence making or any or stuff like that. So I don't want to discuss those verbs here. So I'm sure that you like our spiral diagram. So in and I have given you a very comprehensive concept about verbs and types of verbs. So stay tuned with me. In the next class, I will be talking about pronoun and types of pronoun. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day.